Tanya, I'm gonna print that budget appropriations motion. I'm printing that out for everybody. They don't have that, right? Because it wasn't in the packet.
Oh, it was, okay, thank you.
Hang on a minute.
Oh, well. Get it to 'em. Keep everybody happy.
6 o'clock, where's she going?
I'm gonna make copies of that budget.
Are we waiting for her?
Yes. Thought we would, that would be respectful.
What do we do?
Well, at 6 o'clock.
Well, that
Ready
one's
to-
not, that one's not, that's
ready
2
to eat
minutes.
it.
Yeah, well, every clock's gonna be right at least twice a day, huh?
I'm not logged in. I
What
am.
does your shirt say? It's salvageable.
You're
So,
We gotta watch in this box. Gotta watch in this box. Gotta watch in this box.
I don't know. So when I looked at your shirt, Gene, I thought it said Sleuth Police. I'm like, huh? Got an eye exam coming up.
We gotta get you in there quick.
I don't know that I'm gonna get. Oh, my lord, you did not go there.
It's now 6:01.
They may ask your opinion too. I gotta get a new one. Personal preference, but it's not. Decision. Yeah, it's bottom.
Staying warm?
Yeah.
If you get your fingers.
This is a big agenda. Important. Very important.
They still got enough to pass.
Tom, was that the tie you wore last time?
It's not. There's another tie. I have like 40 of them. Yeah, you know, I want you guys.
I wore the same thing.
I want you guys to see if you notice anything. There's something different about the front of the room up there.
You fixed the flags.
I did.
I knew that when I first walked in here.
Oh, okay. I didn't notice it till just now.
I
We are just waiting for a couple copies of the budget. Is that for everybody?
Up here.
Up here?
There's some man on it.
Sorry for the delay. Did you hear me, Mr. Roberts? Good. We were waiting for you, Madeline. We're ready to start. No. We're waiting for a couple of copies to be made. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hot off the press.
Thank you.
I know.
All set?
Ma'am?
Ready? Are you ready on this end? Are you ready on this end? I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Treasurer Clee,
Present.
Trustee Amadou,
Present.
Trustee Leverett,
Present.
Supervisor Miller.
Here.
Trustee McIntyre.
Here.
Clerk Triplett here, Trustee Burt.
Present.
Are there any additions or deletions to this evening's agenda? No? We'll move on. Are there any corrections to the minutes of the regular board meeting from December 2nd?
Better.
Any corrections? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the minutes from December 2nd signify by saying aye.
Aye.
They stand approved. We'll move on to public comment. I'd ask that you come to the podium and give us your name, and you'll have 4 minutes to address the board.
Nobody wants to speak? Everybody's probably surprised that I'm getting up to speak.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
My name is Gerald Roberts. I've lived in Flint Township for over 50 years. Out in New Jersey and in California, there's a big uproar about people seeing drones. And they've asked their local governments and White House, and nobody seems to know what's going on. No answer. But even in our backyard right here over at Bishop Airport, we've had drones the size of cars coming out of the airport, around the airport, for over a year now. In fact, one of the couple of the officials over in Mundy Township have actually video photos of those particular drones that are over there. They're flying low over the land, like they're in a surveillance deal, acting like helicopters. I understand that soon-to-be President Trump was asked in a newscast today about the drones. His particular, I guess, so I'm told, says that the government knows all about them. What we need is we need disclosure. People that are directly affected by things like this, like the drones or something like that, need to know if it's some foreign power that's doing it, like the Chinese or the Iranians or somebody else. There needs to be transparency with regard to our government. Another thing happened. I was informed that they had a leak, furnace leak, over in middle school, over in Carmen Ainsworth, last week or something like that. There was a whole bunch of toxic ethanol glucose that was let into the drains. The people in that particular area notified Mundy Township Board, and basically the Mundy Township Board was getting the runaround with regard to what it was, like dye or something like that. So they went right directly out, supervisor did, and checked it out. But she had the roughest time trying to get somebody to, for the environmental, in other words, to take that and try to stop it before a rainstorm and it washed into our sewer systems and down into our system, contaminating the land. Things like that should not happen. Flint went through it, and you know what happened there. We had the Barron and Farrell site over here that still probably is not cleaned up. There's still things that are supposed to be done there. The mega site that they want to put in out near my area here on the corner is a problem. It seems like big government is trying to push stuff down people's throats, and they don't want it. I guess that's my, was that my buzzer, or have I still got time to go?
45 seconds.
Oh, I have? Oh, what's those bells all going off?
I don't know.
We're here. I didn't hear.
Oh, you didn't hear it?
I did.
Did you?
Heard it? Yeah. I guess I'm not the
Oh,
only
somebody's cell
one. Hear
phone.
it.
Somebody's cell
It's
phone.
working.
I got hearing aids too.
Yeah, here, okay. You guys got to turn up your hearing aids. But anyways, things like this happening in our township and around our, that directly affect the residents of this particular township and our adjoining township. One thing that's kind of scary to me is there's a Barrett Donut Mix Factory that's on Maple Road. I stopped in there and asked if I could get some of their donut mix. Now, it's a real big building, and there's people working there. But it's so darn long, it looks like it's for something else.
Your time is now up, Mr.
I think it's
Roberts.
a front for something, not a donut factory.
It's a donut factory.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? No? Yes?
My name is Beth Ann Bodker, and my comments may be too little too late. I've not been consistent coming to the meetings of late and didn't go to the budget meetings. I think it's supposed to be approved this evening, the budget, but if not, I'm still going to make my comments. So I'm not an accountant. I've taken one accounting class in my life, but I do control my household budget, and I'm also the treasurer for my church, and I'm charged in both places with having a balanced budget, making sure that we don't overspend, that we have money left at the end of the month or the fiscal year, if at all possible. And as part of that is making sure that the basics are covered. You know, at my home, it's the food, the electricity, things like that, insurance, taxes. At the church, you know, we've got to make sure that the taxes or the insurance is paid, the electricity is paid, so we can have services. There are essential things that the government has to take care of. Police and fire are the top ones. You know, the safety of the constituents. And so what I heard at the last meeting was that there's a budget shortfall, or like the budget's not going to be balanced by, I heard $750,000. I don't know. But you guys are charged with having a balanced budget and taking care of the constituents first and foremost. If cuts need to be made, it needs to be in the non-essential services. And kind of like, I feel like you kind of hold us hostage at times with like closing down the fire department over here because there's not enough manpower. Well, there's not enough manpower, there's not enough money to hire people. That's not what should be cut, especially the department closest to your commercial district. That being said, I guess I implore you not to cut those services. Find the money for those services. If you're coming up short, you cut other places. Does the township offices have to be open 4 days a week? I know you've already gone down from 5 to 4, but I guess as a citizen of the township, as somebody who's going to be on a fixed income soon because my husband's retiring, can't do the increased taxes thing because you're going to price us right out of our home. And taxes go up every year. I mean, you guys have more tax money every year because my taxes, I was astounded at the bill I got. So please, essential services, no increased taxes. Find out where the waste is and make those hard decisions to cut it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who'd like to address the board? No? One last time. So we'll close public comment and we'll move on to reports. I don't have a report this evening except to say I wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I hope it's a good year, 2025. This will be our last meeting this year, hopefully, and that's why I'm wishing you a Happy New Year too. Madam Clerk, do you have a report?
I do not have a report this evening, no.
Mr. Treasurer, do you have a report this evening?
Yes, I do. Can you hear that okay, Terry? In front of all of you, and it took a minute, but we finally got through one of the final folks that we were waiting on to get back to us, Kevin and I. But you'll see what we have for the year-to-date of November 30th. We don't have any updates as of that. As of yet, we still have a month in some of this through the 2024. But I shared you the interest earned on the Dordt Federal money. I shared you on the interest we've earned at the Huntington. And I shared you what we've done in the sweep account since September, the sweep account that started in July of 24 until 11/30. All of these are based on an interest rate that we had then. And as of Thursday, the feds are meeting again, and right before I walked in here, I got off the phone with one of our people, and he informed me that as of a meeting he had just gotten out of at about 4:30, the interest rates are probably going to tick down another 1/4 point. So this has been very good, and it will continue because it's a lot more than it has been. So looking forward to doing a little more here and there, and we were able to bump up our sweep account with Chase We were using it about 5.5. We've got them just starting this week at about 8.7 million, taking it daily and swiping it from us and then giving it back to us early in the morning. So it's the sweep's doing well, the other ones are doing well. So we're generating some interest to help offset some of the deficit costs that we do, that we're looking at, but to make them a little easier to swallow. So this is in front of everybody. Madam Tracy Tucker has this. This will be in the minutes for all of you to look at. And I can absolutely, if there's anybody that has questions tomorrow, after you look at it online, you're more than welcome to give me a call.
Are there any trustee reports?
And I had
Oh,
one more.
I'm
Sorry. Let me put on a different hat. Sorry, folks, I'm gonna. School teacher, you guys know that, and another school shooting occurred today. And my heart and soul and that goes out to those that lost their lives in that shooting. And when I just turned the news off my computer before I walked in here in my office, and I was watching ABC 12, and it just hurts. It happens everywhere, but Karen, you said it. Happy holidays. Let's make a smile on each other's faces. Let's hug those that are important and not important to us. Just say hello, good evening, good morning, open a door for somebody. It's important that we do that. I'm done now.
Thank you. Are there any trustee reports this evening?
Just one thing, I was able to meet with the controller last week to kind of talk about the budget, and he was able to answer the questions that I had, so I just wanted to say that I was able to meet with him the beginning of last week.
Great.
I have one. I spoke with the resident, Mr. Bradshaw, one day last week, and he had a complaint about the group home on the street, on the next street over for him. And I was able to connect with Dave in the code enforcement, building department. And he was able to go out, and he sent me an email and told me the result of that. And I just wanted to acknowledge him. I mean, he acted immediately, and he just did a wonderful job at meeting with the resident. The resident contacted me, and I contacted Dave, and then Dave called the resident, so they were able to talk. But in his email, he said that what he did was he spoke with Mr. Bradshaw over the phone on Monday and explained that the group home behind his house was allowing their trash to overflow and blow into his yard, and because they're not using the lids on their trash. So he did mention that to the group home company behind him, but he didn't get a favorable response. So Dave went out to Mr. Bradshaw's home, met with him, and he allowed him to peer through the back patio window to see what was happening. He witnessed it, took pictures of it, and everything, and he assured Mr. Bradshaw that this would be taken care of. It might take a little more time, it won't be, immediately, but he did mention to me that he would send a notice of a violation out to the group home. So I just wanted to thank Dave for that. I mean, just acting immediate, and, that just was like.
good to hear.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. And anytime you guys receive a complaint, being new on the board, the best place to take it would be, especially if it's an issue like that, blight, inoperable cars, is directly to code enforcement.
Okay.
And Mark Showalter can give you his cell phone number.
Okay.
Trustee Vert, do you have a report this evening?
I don't, but I have a request. Tom, if you could, with this report, which I do appreciate, if we could maybe get documents of the actual bank statements and that, could that be also added in with this?
Can work on that.
This
Yes,
way?
ma'am.
Mr. Leverett, do you have a report?
Yes, I do. I would just like to add to what Trustee McIntyre stated. I had an opportunity to talk with Kevin McIntyre as well, and he gave me a update of what we're trying to do to fix the budget or make the budget be where it needs to be. And I think I have full faith and confidence in Kevin, and he's assured me that he knows what he's doing. And so that's, I'm following him. And I appreciate that. And I've listened to, as well, Mr. Klee, and he's kept me abreast to what's going on. And I appreciate the participation that we're, the zone we're moving in. And we're moving into, I think, a helpful board where we are kind of talking and finding out some things that need to be found out. And I appreciate the direction that we're going in. And I'd like to congratulate them. I think I did it the last meeting that we were in. I'm congratulating the new members as well as myself for having some camaraderie. And I think that we're going to find some situations. The young lady was talking about the budget. I think we're going to find some things that are there that need be, that's going to help us be where we need to be. And like I say, I thank God for Kevin. And as well, I'd like to say that I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's keep everyone in prayer. As Mr. Cleve was saying, let's do something to help someone else besides ourselves. And I appreciate being here. Thank you, Mr. Roberts.
Staff reports. Mrs. Tucker, do you have a report for us this evening?
As you all know, and I sent you all copies of the public information report that the DDAs and the CIAs have to give. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out, or if you didn't get it, let me know, because it means your email's not working. So, as for results for the events, I also have a report on that. I'll be forwarding that to you, but overall results are, with the Bunny Trail, we had approximately 1,500 participants. We had 25 stops. We gave away 15 bikes and trikes, 6 sibling prizes, 10 stuffed bunnies, and 2 $50 gift certificates to adult winners. We did numerous advertising through radio stations and TV. We did have a National Night Out. We help a little bit with that. We did 79 spots on radio for them and 46 spots on 79 spots on 103.9 and 46 spots on Cars 108, and remotes were included that were at the event itself. I think you guys had about 2,000 participants, right around there. Trunks and treats, we had well over 2,000 vehicles. We figure we had 9,000 to 10,000 approximate participants. There were 42 trunks from 34 different agencies. We did social media coverage, live streams. We had 60 spots on 103.9 The Fox and numerous ads on Cars 108. And we had the event advertised on our Miller Road sign as well. The small business push, we used the Miller Road sign for that as well. We've been able to feature 30 businesses. We had 12 remotes, and we used 4 different radio stations. We had various ads on the radio stations with all the same theme of shop local, buy local, discover Flint Township. The businesses themselves have been very excited about this event, even more than they were about some of the other things. Our next up event will be the Bunny Trail again, which they all love that one. That one has seemed to take off and is very very business friendly, but also it seems to get a large participation rate from the local residents. So that's where we're at on that. The DDA and the Bristol Road CIA did meet this month. They both approved their budgets for next year, or adopted them, I should say. And the Beecher Road CIA will meet Thursday morning to finalize theirs. So we should be good to go for next year.
I have a couple questions. All the giveaways, those are all donations, right?
Correct, yeah. Any of the prizes we give away are done through donations. Also, I wanted to address the Barrett's Donuts issue. It's funny that that would be brought up because I was just talking to Andy Barrett, one of the owners today. That is a family-owned company. They actually mix the mixes for donuts and for brownies and for muffins, and they sell their mixes to commercial kitchens and that type of thing. So they really don't have stuff there to sell. You're right, they don't do retail there. They're more of a distributor. It's very interesting when you go in there. They have these huge vats that they mix these things up in, and they're a great company, family owned. Worked with them about 4 years before they finally moved over here, and they love it in Flint Township, and we're glad to have them. So.
My last question is, you mentioned the sign.
Yes.
It's not our sign. And if someone were wanting to advertise any of the businesses, is it limited to Flint Township businesses?
No, it's not limited to Flint Township businesses, but Flint Township businesses get priority, and they also get a discount.
If someone was interested in doing that, who do they contact?
They can contact Signs by Craney. They do all the advertising on it.
Alrighty. Is that conclusion?
That's it.
Okay.
Unless
Chief,
anybody has questions.
anybody? No. Chief Wangler, do you have a report?
Thank you. Since last board meeting on December 2nd, the police department has responded to 1,077 total calls. This is 730 primary calls for service and 347 backup, right around a 75 per call day average. On December 3rd, we investigated a break-in at Diamond Pawn on Fenton Road. With the assistance of the ATF and the Michigan State Police, 4 adults and 2 juveniles were arrested, and the case has been reviewed at both the state and the federal level. Stolen guns were taken from the pawn shop, and we recovered them the following day at an apartment complex in the city of Flint. On December 5th, shortly after 7:15 p.m., the Flint Township Police Department responded to reports of a pedestrian struck by a vehicle on West Pasadena near Elmwood. The investigation revealed that 43-year-old Lana Shields of Mount Morris Township was walking in the roadway when a dark-colored SUV traveling eastbound on Pasadena struck her and then fled the scene. Investigators are still actively searching for a dark-colored SUV with driver's side and front grille damage. We were assisted at the scene by the Mount Morris Township Police Department, the Genesee County Sheriff's Office, and the Flint Township Fire Department. Anyone that does have any information is asked and urged to contact Detective Alex Minto, who's the lead officer in charge. On December 9th, 2024, we received a call from management at Clover Tree Apartments regarding a suspicious vehicle driving around looking for a male who was later learned to be a rival gang member. Our officers utilized our flock license plate readers and saw this vehicle arrive back in the area. A gang detective, along with our officers, located the vehicle parked in the apartment complex, which was occupied by 3 males. We conducted a vehicle stop, and 2 21-year-old males and an 18-year-old male were arrested. One of the males was captured during a foot pursuit after he ran from the car. 3 guns and over 100 rounds of ammunition were recovered from the vehicle, and all of the weapons had been converted to fully automatic. The investigation revealed that these individuals in the car were likely lying in wait for their intended target, the rival gang member, to return to his apartment so to carry out a retaliatory shooting. The 3 men were lodged at the Genesee County Jail, and they have all been charged with carrying concealed weapons and resisting arrest. So we prevented what would have been a shooting. Tomorrow on December 17th, we'll again host our second Shop of the Hero at Walmart on Corona Road with children from the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Flint. On Thursday the 19th, we'll provide pizza and Christmas gifts for the children of the family selected with the assistance of the Carmen Ainsworth School District for our annual, what we have called Beards for Kids fundraiser. And that concludes my report. I have 3 items on the agenda.
Thank you. Chief Beckley?
Thank you. Since the last board meeting, your fire department has responded to 47 calls. Included in this number is 3 structure fires and 3 vehicle fire calls. And right now, year to date, your fire department is at 1,319 calls for service, which is about 200 calls, just about over where we were last year at this point. Just a couple of highlights, both from December 14th, this past Saturday. In the morning, just before 8 a.m., we responded to a structure fire call in the 4300 block of Court Street near Linden Road for a house on fire. Crews arrived to find smoke coming from the home and a large amount of dark smoke inside of it. Fire crews made entry into the home, quickly extinguished the fire. It removed one animal from the house. It was a dog that was trapped inside the house still. Unfortunately, the dog did not survive this incident. And the occupant was treated by EMS for smoke inhalation as well. Later in the day on the 14th, about 8:30 at night, we responded to the 3300 block of Mallory Street for a reported house explosion. Luckily, that was not the case when we got there, but we did arrive to find a home that was well involved in fire, had about 2 bedrooms and about a quarter of the outside of the house on fire when we arrived on scene. Once enough firefighters arrived at the scene, we made entry, quickly knocked down the fire, and again, one dog was removed from this house. This dog was in a little bit better condition, was treated by EMS on scene, and was transported, I believe, by one of our police officers to the emergency animal hospital. Not sure on his condition, but the occupant of this home was also treated by EMS for burns, and one firefighter sustained a leg injury on this incident as well. The cause of this fire is under investigation at this time, but we would like to remind everyone, please make sure you have working smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors in your homes. If you don't, call us. We do have a program through the American Red Cross that we will actually come out and install smoke detectors in your home as well. Carbon monoxide detectors, we have a little bit more limited supply on those, so when we have them, those are also available. But smoke detectors, we can get to you relatively quickly. And also just a reminder, if you ever do experience a fire in your home, your apartment, anything like that, please get out of the home and stay out of the home. Many injuries happen when people re-enter the house or the building after they get out successfully. We just don't want to see people get injured. Like I said, both fires on Saturday, the occupants of the homes were both injured, and we definitely don't like to see that. So, did wrap up with our annual breathing air compressors and system testing last week, and our firefighters are completing our annual self-contained breathing apparatus and mass testing that are all requirements through NFPA. Pretty labor-intensive processes, but all things to ensure that our equipment's working properly and in good working order. And we have no action items on the agenda this evening. And just on behalf of the fire department, just like to say happy holidays to everyone. And we hope everyone has a happy New Year.
Thank you, Chief. Controller McIntyre, do you have a report this evening?
I do not have a report, but I have several items on the agenda.
Yes, we know. Thank you. John Whiteside, do you have a report from the Road Advisory Committee? Apparently you do.
Good.
All right, good evening, Township Board. My name is John Whiteside. I'm the Secretary of the Township Road Advisory Committee. My report will include information from our last meeting on Monday, December 9th. I would like to congratulate all the board on being re-elected and the 2 new members for their election. And welcome to your new 4-year term. I would like to give a little background information on the township's road advisory for the new board members or anybody else who's interested in it. The advisory committee is made up of 9 members. The first chairman is the 1 member, is also by the bylaws is the township supervisor. The 8 other members are appointed by the township board. The advisory committee has no spending power of any monies. That is within the hands of you township board members. The advisory committee is just that. We're an advisory committee. We work together using information from Genesee County Road Commission, residents' complaints, PACER ratings, our own personal observations of driving the roads, and from the engineer Mike Pfeiffer's input. We develop a road plan each year through those resources, and that will fit into the budget that we're given. The revenue comes from following sources. We get funding from the township road millage. We get funding from Genesee County Road Commission's 50/50 funds. At times we use block grant funds and some other resources when they're made available. These funds vary each year. With the road millage, it's collected from the taxpayers each year. The millage provides 0.5 mils. just a quick breakdown of where some of that money is spent each year. It's not just strictly for road repair. We have dust prevention, signal charges, ditching and culvert repairs, engineering services, any road installments, which are SADs, and last, the road projects. So all that's taken out. Prior to a road millage, all that came out of the general fund. That's one of the reasons the road millage was put in place. In 2024, the millage collected about $464,000, and along with other resources and after some other added line items that I spoke of. But that left us money to use for roads of $223,000 for 2024. Now, the road millage is added to any other funding, like I mentioned, the 50/50 funding the township gets from the road commission, block grant funds. But with 50/50 money, and this is important to know, you have to have the money to put up with the county's 50%. So you have to match the funds. Supervisor Miller has done a great job over the years. She approaches the other townships to see if they have any funds available that they don't have matching dollars for. They can give them to Flint Township, and she's been successful in getting some of those funds given to us. That's all added revenue. So the road advisory members were all volunteers from different areas of their township. We've been appointed to this committee. The current members, I'm going to give you their names, is Bud Newsom, Jeannie Lipka, Colleen Ford, Mark Showalter, John Lawrence, Trustee Jean Leverett, James Rouse, he goes by Jim most of the time, myself, and Chairman and Supervisor Karen Miller. Little background, the road advisory has been in existence since 2006 millage. Jim Rouse and myself are the only two original members left on that road advisory. And we were appointed initially by Doug Carlton, and we've been on that road advisory for roughly 18 years. Just wanted to share a little background on the committee. We also try to formulate a plan each year that is fair to the whole areas of the township. Can't make everyone happy, as the township has many roads in need of repair and not nearly enough money. The committee tries to attack the worst roads, but also must make conscious decision of fairly spreading the revenue around the township. From our last meeting, we're currently looking at the area of Maple and Linden Roads. That area has been on the radar for a while. There's a big need there and not nearly enough money to fix everything. So we're working on a plan to fix the worst roads in that area. We hope to have the plan ready for 2025 road projects for you board members, either January or the February meetings. Remember, the road advisory committee, like I said, is only an advisory committee. We bring it to you guys. You guys on the board make the decision whether to spend the dollars or not spend the dollars. Also, I'd like to wish the township board, all the township staff, police and fire chiefs, and all the residents a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Thank you for that report, John, and thank you for all your volunteer service these last 18 years. That's a long time. You do a good job. So that concludes our reports. We'll move on to number 8, payment of bills. Mr. Treasurer?
Thank you. All trustees, you should have received copies of the invoices and/or the disbursements via email. You can also come into the township and look at those after they've been made available, and put into the warrants. We have invoices in the amount of $1,633,261.31 as authorized and okayed by the board's purchasing policy. In addition, we have tax distributions in the amount of $83,962.23. This is a total of $1,717,223.36 in invoices and tax disbursements. That is my motion, and I will comment when given the opportunity.
We have a motion to pay the bills in the amount of $1,633,261.31. Is there a second to the motion?
I second it.
Any questions for Mr. Treasurer?
I have a couple. One is on an invoice, and the number is 106134. I have an invoice, and the number is 106134. It says web hosting, which doesn't make much sense, but it says Civic Plus and Granicus. And those, I don't know what it's for, but it's for, almost $15,000, so if, I just need more verification on that, because I don't know what that is. Right?
That's for the new system that we approved last.
For the Civics Plus?
The Civics Plus.
Yeah, the Civics Plus is for the new system for, the
2020.
Civics Plus is for the new system for,
Minutes?
Agendas and
agendas and
minutes.
minutes, yes,
It's not the website, website's revised, right?
right.
What is web hosting?
I don't know what bill you're
Well, I know.
looking at, I'm
Well,
sorry,
I'm just
I
saying, I'm
didn't
just
see
putting it out there that we can get some clarification
I
on
didn't
that.
see that,
Yeah.
but if it's for Civics Plus, it's for ours. Now, there should be a web hosting one in probably for Granicus for the DDA. Theirs is separate, and that's paid through the DDA funds.
Right.
That one I did see, but I thought that was in November, I didn't think it was this month.
Okay.
Who's it billed to, did you see? Say who it's billed to. Sorry.
Any other questions? Alrighty, any other discussion or questions for Mr. Treasurer? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on paying the bills in the amount of $1,633,261.31.
Trustee Burt,
No?
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
Supervisor Miller,
Yes.
Trustee Leverett,
Yes.
Treasurer Clee,
Yes.
and Trustee Amadou.
Yes.
Thank you.
Are there any correspondence or informational items? No? Move on to new business. Action item A is Public Act 152. It's an opt-out. You read the law, you have it before you, and in order to meet our obligations of the contract language, we have a majority of our employees paying 10% toward their insurance. We need to vote on opting out, so would someone like to make the motion?
Motion to approve the Public Act of 152 opt-out resolution 2025.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second the motion.
Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in, oh, do we have to do, we might have to do a roll call vote on that, because I think it has to pass by 2/3.
Yep.
Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Supervisor Miller.
Yes.
Trustee Leverett,
Yes.
Trustee Burt,
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Amadou,
Yes.
Treasurer Clee,
Yes.
and Trustee McIntyre.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Action item B is a salary resolution. Put it on both sides, just a second.
Page 12.
Thank you. We have a resolution before us. Let me just give an update to the board. We have 6 unions. We've negotiated with 5 and ratified those. We have 1 more that we will be negotiating with tomorrow. And we've also addressed the non-union department heads and a couple others who are non-union but not department heads. And now looking at the board, I've explained to you how we had the salary plus the in lieu of healthcare stipend, and this motion is to discontinue the in lieu of healthcare insurance stipend for the trustees and increase the salary, the annual salary to $12,000 per year per trustee effective December 1st, and to approve the same benefits received by the ASME union members in the current ratified contract for the supervisor, clerk, and treasurer, effective immediately. Would anyone like to make the motion?
I'll move to make the motion.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second it.
Are there any questions or discussion on the motion? Not all at once, everybody.
I am just gonna, I would hope that the board would not approve any type of a raise right now. That would be an increase, am I correct?
Yes.
Due to our budget and that type of thing. I don't think the timing's right.
Any other discussion?
Let me ask a question here. I thought that since we were opting out of the insurance, then that was gonna compensate by
The opt-out strictly is the law of the state of Michigan for public employees, where if you read it talks about a cap or 20%, and since we don't meet that, we opt out of that. That's required. This is for this board strictly. So any full-time employee has health care benefit, and that's what that opt-out was addressing. This is strictly for this board. And we did away with health care benefits for the part-time trustees in 2012. And we, maybe a year later, offered in lieu of stipend for not taking the health care at the request of a trustee back then. And we've done that since. So taking those and combining them to make just one check. It's roughly, except for Jenna, I think, everyone else's is roughly close to that amount right now. So,
Isn't it a minimal increase in all? If you look at the stipend and the pay that the trustees were getting paid, it's not even $100,
it's like $100.
just to even it out.
Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Amadou?
Yes.
Treasurer Clee?
Yes.
Trustee Leverett?
yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee Burt?
No.
Trustee McIntyre?
Yes.
Advisor Miller?
Yes. Action item C is a 2025 poverty exemption resolution and guidelines. This was presented to us from our assessor, and we have to approve this yearly. This comes from, it's set by the federal government, it comes to us from the state of Michigan. And a motion would be in order to approve this.
We would move to accept the poverty exemption resolution and guidelines as presented. Would you like me to read the entire? If you'd like, I can read the entire presentation. A resolution approving the poverty exemption policy and procedure for the tax year of 2025, whereas pursuant to MCL 211.7U4, the Charter Township of Flint Board of Trustees is required to adopt a formal policy and the following guidelines for granting of poverty exemptions of property taxes for individual property owners who are unable to contribute towards the public charges assessed. Therefore, be it resolved that the attached to this resolution is the policy and procedures to be utilized for the tax year 2025.
Support.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the resolution setting the 2025 poverty exemption resolution and guidelines signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That gets approved. Action item D is Board of Review appointments. You have in your board packet the names of two of our members. Well, actually, there's three. The Board of Review is an appeal process to the values that are set when, in February, you receive a change in valuations. It's February, right? Yeah. And if you want to appeal that, you come to the Board of Review. Board of Review is made up of three of our residents, and we have three people who have served us for, I think, 4 years now. I think Jim has been a little bit longer. James Rouse and Mary Jane Robertson, they're willing to serve for 2 more years, so we need to vote on that tonight. And Kenyatta Dotson, I think she's served 4 years. She has been elected to the Mott Community Board and doesn't have the time necessary to devote. She's willing to serve as an alternate. And so in January, I will come to the board and ask for approval for a third member of the Board of Review. If you have any suggestions, please let me know and we could talk to them. But tonight, I'm asking that the board would approve appointing James Rouse, Mary Jane Robertson as members of the Board of Review and Kenyatta Dotson as an alternate, their terms expiring in January 2027.
Or
Okay. That's my, sure. Yeah, Barb.
Because you read the motion.
Sure. Any questions or discussion? None? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Those opposed? That's unanimous. Action item E, your turn, Mr. McIntyre.
This is a request for the ARPA funds. So we have approximately $325,000 left in the ARPA that we have had several discussions on how it should be spent or what should be spent on. The issue is, if you, by 12/31 of '24, you have to tell the state of Michigan, how are you spending that money? And if for something goes wrong or for some reason you don't spend that money, you have to give the money back. So this motion is to just basically recognize the remaining amount of ARPA as an approved expense, that we can just expense it and be done with the ARPA. And then we can, at a later date, decide how we want to reallocate those money. We'll put it in a restricted fund, and it can be spent in that way. But this is just a motion to clear up and end the ARPA dollars so I can do my final report and be finished with all the ARPA reporting and clear up all the remaining dollars.
And the motion that's in here, the suggested motion, is wording from Michigan Township Associations.
Correct.
So whoever makes the
This
motion.
was, yes, this was their recommendation to do this. If you had any questions or there might be doubt that how you were going to spend it, they recommended this motion so that you could just spend it within the parameters given and then make decisions later on.
Would someone like to make the motion?
Clea would accept the resolution presented by our controller, and I'll read the motion verbatim. This motion is to declare that the remaining ARPA funds, that's the American Rescue Plan, funds in the amount of $325,088.64 be spent on the allowable use of revenue loss as allowed in the U.S. Treasury final ruling, and that the government service identity is employee wages and benefits allocated within the general fund during the period of preface, which is March 3, 2021 to December 31, 2025.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second it.
Any questions for Controller McIntyre?
Yes, I have one. Kevin, if I may, and correct me if I'm wrong, and you did state it, we're gonna this closes out our ARPA issue before December 31st, 2024. Anything that we received from the government in ARPA dollars had to be allocated and positioned to be expensed by the end of 2025. Also, if none of that money, as you stated, is used, we got to kick that back to the federal government. So by doing this, you're actually, and you had spoken, all of us, about this, restricting this, putting it in a restricted fund. The police and fire have those issues. Police car we'll talk about later, fire truck from earlier on. It will be restricted in an account that now, when you clear the account, you say, thank you very much, federal government, for the balance of our X amount of ARPA dollars. You're done having to deal with the accounting process
Correct.
over and over and over.
Correct.
Okay.
Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the motion for the remaining balance of the ARPA dollars.
Trustee Leverett,
Yes.
Trustee Burt,
yes.
Trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
Trustee Amadou,
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes, Supervisor Miller,
Yes.
and Treasurer Clee.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you. Action item F. Mr. Controller.
These are budget amendments that are required where we have either overspent or will overspend by the end of the year. So these amendments are just adjustments to our budget so that we are in compliance with the budgetary rules.
And whoever's going to make this motion, you have to read every word on this proposed
Yeah, it's
motion.
it's a long one.
Clea would accept the responsibility of reading the 2024 budget amendments. I'll make the motion. Through the resolution, this motion is to approve amendments to the 2024 budgets for additional revenue and expenditures in the General Fund Revenues Department 000 for $220,000. In the General Fund Township Board, Department 101, for $2,750. In the General Fund Accounting Department, number 191, for $18,200. In the General Fund Election Commission Department, item 262, for $9,000. In the General Fund Fire Department, 336, for $74,000. In the General Fund Building Department, 371, for $18,000. In the General Fund Trade Inspections Department, item 372, for $20,000. In the Public Safety Fund Police Department, item 301, for $15,000. In the Public Safety Fund Fire Department, 336, for $6,000. In the Justice Assistance Grant Fund Expenditure Department, that would be your JAG grant, 000, for $202,000. In the Police Grants Fund Revenue Department, 000, for $350,000. In the Police Grants Fund Expenditure Department, 000, for another $350,000. In the Economic Development Fund Revenue Department, item 000, for $12,000. In the Economic Development Fund Expenditure Department, 000, for another $12,000.
Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the 2024 budget amendments.
I just wanted to say, Kevin, thank you for putting this mess together and making sure it's all squared away. Sorry, Gene.
That's all right, go ahead.
I knocked his stuff off.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. You've a lot of effort to get these two squared away. Appreciate you.
Trustee Burt,
Yes.
trustee Amadou,
Yes.
treasurer Clee,
Yes.
trustee Leverett,
Yes.
supervisor Miller.
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
clerk Triplett, yes.
Thank you. Action item G, Mr. McIntyre.
Kevin's on the seat.
Yeah.
This is the appropriations one. What I think Tracy printed out is the actual appropriations. Earlier, I emailed you all copies of budgets so that you laid out in what you've looked at before, so that you would kind of have a better idea of what you're looking at. And I spoke to all of you about what column you'd be approving, and it's the very final column in the printouts that, if you printed them out, for the ones I sent. I spoke to each one of you individually, and these were, like, if anyone had questions or anything, I've asked you all to reach out to me, and this was what the majority of you voted that you would like to see. The general fund, and, I mean, there's 11 of them, different funds. These are what came of the conversations that I had with all of you.
These numbers match the final column that you gave, right?
Yes, the Appropriations Act that you have match what I emailed to you, the forms I emailed. They're the exact same numbers, it's just a different layout because the Appropriations Act has to be appropriation, so it's a big, long whereas and Y2s and all that stuff.
They have to publish it.
Yeah, it has to be a published one. The ones I emailed you were just copies that you're used to seeing when we had our budget workshop and talked about them. So you have the same format that you're familiar with, but the exact same numbers.
Okay.
Stated, there's 2 pages to be read.
What?
As you stated, there's 2 pages to be read, and then some. So if you want me to, I'll read them.
No, we don't have to read every word of that, do we?
No, you just have to say I make the
Okay.
motion as
Yeah,
presented.
not for the appropriations one. The other one you do, you have to read the department numbers.
One by one. Okay,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
right. That's right.
So a motion is in order to vote on this budget.
We would move to accept the 2025 budget appropriations resolution as presented.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second it.
Alrighty. Any questions or discussion on, we're looking at approving all the budgets that you sent us? General fund, public safety,
Yep.
sewer and water,
Like I said, I think
DDA.
there's 9 or 11 of them, the public safety, the JAG, the DDA, CIA, Beecher Road, and the sewer and water.
Sewer and water.
They already approved those, the DDA, CIA,
You-
yeah.
You get, this
You
is
guys
just
already
them.
approved those previously.
Yeah,
The old police millage, 0.5 mils, that's gonna fall off. Is this the last year we're gonna see it, or?
It should be the last year. The problem is when you have an expired millage like that, it takes like 4 or 5 years because people have taxes that they could pay at the county.
I see.
So you have to give it a few years, and if anything, like they sell a property or it goes into the land bank, there's a chargeback that we have to then pay out of that fund like if we take over a property, we didn't pay the taxes on it, or we wouldn't pay taxes on it. So that's called a chargeback, and then we'd have to have the money out of that fund to pay for it. This should be the last year. 25 should have the last expense for that millage that's expired.
Treasurer Klee, you made the motion. Do you have any questions or discussion?
No, again, Kevin, thank you. I'm good with it.
Mr. Leverett, do you have any questions or discussion?
No, I'm good.
This way? Any questions or discussion?
First of all, I'm not going to support the budget, and that's because I believe there's a few departments that the requests have been a little out of line, and I can't see any, haven't seen any paperwork to say where that's actually, the money's going to go. It's kind of like maybe a wish list, and with the way the budget is now, it should be pretty clear what you're going to spend the money on. And I appreciate Kevin's work, I do, but I'm still not going to support the budget right now. And also, I have a question about, there was a question about the stipend for the clerk, and whether that was one-time or permanent.
For the clerk, I don't receive a
So-
stipend. You mean for the
Deputy
deputy?
clerk, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Well, that's an issue, but it's a separate issue. We're gonna stick with the motion that's on the floor right now, is the budget. No, nothing here from you two? Okay. Madam Clerk, do you have any questions or discussion on the budget?
No, I've talked to Kevin several times.
Ready, we've kept you very busy. And if we're ready to vote, Madam Clerk, roll call, please, on the motion to approve the 2025 Budget Appropriations Resolution Act.
Trustee Burt,
No.
Supervisor Miller,
Yes.
Trustee McIntyre,
Yes.
Treasurer Klee,
Yes.
Trustee Amadou,
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes.
No, Ms. Leverett.
Trustee Leverett,
Yes.
thank you.
That stands
All
approved,
right.
6-1. We move on to action item H. Oh, before we go there, we've kept you very busy, I know that. I know you've met with all of us, and I know you've changed, to here and there, and then also the budget amendments, and it's just been a lot of work. And you do good work, and we appreciate it. Thank you. Chief Wengler.
Thank you, Supervisor Miller. The police department currently has 35 police officers on staff as of this date. In the 2024 budget, a total of 34 positions were approved. Flint Township Civil Service Commission, in compliance with Act 78 of 1935, has provided the name of Peter Lindgren. Subsequently, he was presented with a conditional offer of employment based upon a list of contingencies which were attached in the board packet. Mr. Lindgren has successfully completed a physical examination, drug test, and a psychological examination. He also successfully passed an extensive pre-employment background investigation conducted by Lieutenant Valente and Detective Sergeant Cassidy. Mr. Lindgren was actually homeschooled and received his diploma in 2011. He then attended Seed of Wisdom College in Ontario, Canada, and received his associate's degree in Christian Humanities in 2014. Lieutenant Valente has applied for a grant with MCOLS, our licensing body, to be in the police service, and Michigan Works, which will provide funding for Mr. Lindgren's wages, including his benefits, his academy expenses, and uniforms while he attends the police academy, which is 16 weeks in duration. With your approval, I would like to hire Mr. Lindgren, and he would start the LERTA, which is the Mott Community College Police Academy, on January 13th, 2025.
Motion is in order to move forward.
We would move to accept the resolution as presented.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Any questions or discussion? Mr. Klee?
The only
Trustee
question I
Burke.
had, and you did mention it, and clarify, so everyone is aware. it looks to me like we have zero cost on this, zero cost, until June 1, July 1, right in that area?
The academy would run typically through the middle of May, so you are correct. The MCOLS grant pays for up to $20,000 in the wages, and then he's been put in contact with Michigan Works should he go any higher than that $20,000 threshold. So we, being Flint Township, will not have any on the hook for this individual until middle of May.
Trustee Vert, do you have any questions or comments? Anybody else? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, roll call please on the hiring of new officer Peter Lindgren, beginning January 13th at the Police Academy.
Trustee Amadou?
Yes.
Treasurer Clee?
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes. Trustee McIntyre?
Yes.
Supervisor Miller?
Yes.
Trustee Leverett?
Yes.
And Trustee Burt?
Yes.
Action item I is, says replacement of vehicle for police department fleet, but it's more to that. It's restricting the funds that were being reimbursed for a totaled vehicle.
That is correct. On November 26th, the Mark Cruiser 2304 was involved in a rollover crash at Miller and Linden Roads. Our insurance carrier, Tokyo Marine, has deemed the vehicle a total loss. Initial estimate is $47,798 plus labor and replacement equipment. I'm asking the board to restrict this funding within the confines of the police department for the purpose of replacing a vehicle in the future within the police department fleet.
Anyone want to make
I've been on a roll. I will accept the resolution as presented. Motion, restrict the funding of this particular total insurance settlement for Police Cruiser 2304 for the purpose of replacing a vehicle within the police department fleet.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Okay, any further questions for Chief Wangler?
Are you replacing this vehicle with a new vehicle
It
or
would-
a used vehicle?
It would be a new vehicle. I don't have, at this time, there's no cruisers available. For model year 2024, they've been sold out for months. So this would, in all likelihood, be a 2025 vehicle.
Any other questions?
No,
Hearing none?
no questions, but today, mid-afternoon and Friday afternoon, I had a pleasure of going face-to-face with the gentleman that was driving this car. So you folks know, if I may, he was hit, he was turned over, spun it around, and he released himself and got out to go check on the other lady as well. He looked me in the face and he said, dude, the upkeep of that Tahoe put him back to walk on the street. I jokingly said, and you know I said this to him, dude, keep the shiny side up, please, because it's a little, he said, I'm gonna try it next time, but he's good. And he was smiling and happy to be on duty.
The remarks he made when he was taken out of the vehicle was not a scratch, not a scratch.
So all those in favor of the motion to restrict the funding of the total insurance settlement for the police cruiser number 2304 for the purpose of replacing a vehicle within the police department fleet signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you very much.
Thank you, board.
Action item J. We have a resolution before us. Our police department's looking for some direction. And I think everyone's had a chance to read this. We're being requested to name who's going to impound our vehicles. If someone would like to make a motion, that'd be in order now.
We would move on a motion to fill in the blank with Roadrunner Towing, 4376 Beecher Road, who will impound vehicles on behalf of the Flint Township Police Department effective January 1st, 2025 until further notice, unless the police department impounding criteria is not being met.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
I would second the motion.
Any further discussion? Any discussion, Mr. Clee?
Well, I was going to say, we all received the multiple-page document that references the vendor specs, so, looking at that, that makes my mind up.
Any, trustee McIntyre? Any discussion?
No.
No further discussion? All those in favor of approving the resolution naming Roadrunner Towing to be our impound, the company that would impound vehicles on behalf of the Flint Township Police Department, effective January 1st, 2025, until further notice, unless the police department impound criteria is not being met. All those in favor of approving the resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That stands approved, unanimous.
Local business, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
They're a
that's right.
local
It's
Flint
a
Township.
local Flint Township business, yeah.
Action item K is the 2025 meeting calendar. Madam Clerk, did you want to speak on that?
This is the calendar that we go through every year that we will be using going forward for the year for our meetings. I think you guys all had it in your packet as of Thursday. Hope you had a chance to look over it.
Would you like to move that for approval?
I would like to make a motion to accept the meeting calendar as presented. A motion to adopt the 2025 Flint Township meeting calendar.
Is there a second to the motion?
I second.
Any questions for Madam Clerk? Mr. Leverett?
No.
No?
So we're changing, kind of like if there's a holiday on a Monday, the next day, Tuesday, we'll have our meetings now, right?
So it appears to me that there are two, I don't know if you want to speak on that. There's two that are not in sequence. One is the January, where is it?
21st?
Second meeting in January, yeah.
Yep.
That's due to a holiday, so that meeting's the next day, correct?
Correct.
And then what's the other one? September, correct?
September. We move it because of Labor Day.
Right. Okay.
The others are all on the first and the third Monday.
Right.
It's just the same
September
as the
bumps
other.
to 2 and 4.
And we moved the time of the road advisory meeting to 4 PM. Is that correct, John?
Correct.
Okay. Alrighty, we have a motion and a second. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor of approving the 2025 meeting calendar signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? That stands approved. Action item L is rules and procedures. Each new township board must set up their meeting rules, codes of conduct and procedures for the term expiring 2028. These rules were based on our workshop with Lou Bender, and we've had these out since November 25th. A motion would be in order to move forward on this.
I would move to look at accepting the motion to approve these meeting rules and procedures as presented at this time.
Is there a second to the motion?
Support.
Alrighty. Is there any discussion, questions?
Yeah.
Yes. All of this information that we got, talking about the rules and regulations and the guidelines that came out of that meeting that we had, only one that was, I guess, personally interviewed by the PhD was you, right?
What's that?
You were the only one interviewed from the staff. By Bender was you, right?
I didn't interview with him.
Okay.
You guys had a conversation
We
prior
had-
to.
Yeah, because we had to hire him.
Right.
Okay. So I'm saying that before, the information that we got on this here form here, it indicated a draft.
Right. That's what it is until we approve it,
Right,
and it's final.
right. So everything that's in here don't really give us that we don't agree with. I think we have to go through it line by line. So I'm saying the motion has already been made, right?
Yes.
I think that we need to can we table this here for?
If you wanna make that
Can we-
motion.
I'd like to make that motion then, that we table, this here draft copy that we have, or draft information that we have, until further notice, or until we get an opportunity to thoroughly discuss it.
So, from the workshop, Jean, Mr. Bender created the notes and that was sent out to everybody. And from that, I mean, one of the things in this packet is what's hanging on the wall from MTA. It's township governance principles. Pretty simple and laid out. The rest is from our workshop. I've asked on 3 different occasions if there was any changes or input. If you guys want to have a meeting again to discuss it, I'm fine with that. Can you give us a date when you want to bring this back, if you're tabling it?
When do we have the next meeting? Don't we have a scheduled meeting with him?
We do. No, with him?
Yeah.
That's not till March.
March.
Our next board meeting is the
January
6th.
What's the next one after that? 'Cause that's
Let's
right.
see, let's look at the calendar and see,
January 21st is the next one.
21st.
Is there a motion on the table?
Okay, then.
He's tabling it. I'm asking him how long he wants to table it
I think we
to
should
bring back.
do it. Do we have to have this in meeting between public?
Yes, if we all get together, it's a public meeting.
So, we'll look at it the 21st then.
121. Do you want to do that at a regular board meeting, or you want to do it at a special board meeting? We can meet an hour before the board meeting?
Let's do it like that.
Okay, special meeting. Is there a second to the motion to table it till January 21st, at which time we could have a special meeting before a regular board meeting to discuss these?
I'll second it.
Second, all right. There's no discussion on tabling. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Do we have comments?
Not on tabling.
Okay.
Roll call, please, on tabling the rules and procedures to January 21st at a special board meeting before the regular board meeting.
Trustee McIntyre,
No.
Supervisor Miller,
No.
Trustee Leverett,
Yes.
Trustee Amadou,
Yes.
Treasurer Clee,
Yes.
Clerk Triplett, yes.
You're going to ask Trustee Vert?
And Trustee Vert.
No.
Alrighty, so that's tabled. We go on to action item M, franchise agreement. Did you want to speak on that, Mr. McIntyre?
This is just a franchise agreement. The customer lives in Flint Township, but he's on the city of Flint's water, and it's just a standard agreement to make him a franchise customer.
A motion is in order to approve the request to make the resident at G 3137 Brown Street a franchise customer. Would someone like to make the motion?
We would move to accept the motion to authorize the resident at G 3137 Brown Street to become a franchise customer of the City of Flint water system.
Is there a second to the motion?
I'll second.
Is there any questions or discussion for Mr. McIntyre? Pretty simple. Go ahead.
I thought that that area was already, anybody included in that as franchise customers anyway?
So residents who live along the border of the city of Flint, they live in the township, they pay their taxes in the township, but they're receiving city water because we don't have a supply line that goes there. And what's the number of franchise customers right now? Is it about 30 to 50?
I'd have to look it up, but yeah, in that ballpark.
Okay,
Last time that I knew.
well, we'll double check. So they're making the request. Any other questions or discussion? All those in favor of approving the motion to authorize the resident of G 3137 Brown Street to become a franchise customer of the City of Flint Water System signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed? That stands approved. Our next meeting is January 6th 2025, that sounds funny, at 6 PM. And if there's no further business and without objection, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Yeah.